Do you want to learn a new language? Well, today is your lucky day because I'm going to give you a step-by-step guide on how I go from not speaking a language at all to speaking it fluently. Now, the first step might seem simple, but so many people get this wrong. You have to pick a language you want to learn. And this should be a language that you want to learn. This shouldn't be a language that other people tell you you should learn. Preferably, this should be a language which you are both passionate about and would be useful in your daily life. Now, if you don't know which language you want to learn, I advise you pause this video now and take a few minutes to think about it before continuing. Now, if you're still here, I'll assume that you know which language you want to learn, but you don't have that much experience learning languages. So from this point on, I'm going to go through the process I take step by step. Now, the first thing I advise you to do might sound ridiculous, assuming you're an adult, but trust me, it really works. When I start to learn a new language, I begin by going to YouTube and watching children's TV shows in that language. My favourite one to go to is Peppa Pig. The reason I do this is because the language used in these shows is very simple. So when you're beginning, you start to hear the way they speak, the accent they use, and start hearing very simple words. You might be thinking, why would I do this? After all, you're not learning a language just from watching children's television, but the purpose of this is to get a feel for the language and to get used to it. Remember, after all, that children pick up a language, especially their native language. They don't learn with books. They hear their parents and they copy what they hear. You are right though, you're not a child, so from this point on, you're going to have to start learning the language a little bit differently from the way a child would. So the first thing I advise you to do now is to buy what I call a pocket dictionary. It's a small dictionary that you can take almost everywhere with you because it can fit in your pocket. This means that you can learn words on the go. This is my favourite type of pocket dictionary. However, it's in German. It's made by a company called Langenscheidt. This is the one I use to learn Slovenian. However, if you are an English speaker, I advise you buy these ones from Berlitz. This, for example, is the one I use to learn Norwegian. How do you use a pocket dictionary the most effectively? Well, the best way is for you to buy a small notebook that you can write in. And every day you're going to search for 5 to 10 words to write in your notebook. At first, these are going to be words that you will hear on a daily basis, like house, work, tree, car, and you will write it in the new language with the translation in English or in your language. After writing down the words, you're going to repeat them as often as possible, preferably once a day. And you're going to do this again and again until you remember the words off by heart. If you can learn just 10 words a day after 30 days, the first month, you'll be able to remember 300 words in your new language, which would be incredible. After a year, this would be 3,600 words, which would be enough for the average person to hold a conversation in a language. But of course, words aren't enough to speak a language. You now need the grammar, which is one of the things that scares most language learners away. The way you're going to get around this is by hiring a teacher, a qualified teacher, somebody who knows the grammar of their language and knows how to teach it to you. A teacher is also a great investment because they will keep you on track and motivated to learn your language. After all, you should be doing 2 to 3 classes with them a week, so you'll notice significant progress with your language. You might be wondering how to find a good teacher, and I have to be honest with you. There are a lot of teachers out there who are not good and not qualified, especially on apps like italki, where they offer very cheap classes because they have no qualifications besides the ability to speak in that language. So unless you know a teacher that you can trust, I strongly advise you to go to a language school. This is because the language school has already vetted them for their competency, so you know they are qualified to teach you. While it is true that often language schools are more expensive than teachers online, what you're paying for is the higher quality, and this is where you will actually save money in the long term. Before starting your classes, you should preferably speak to the teacher and get to know them. Even better if they offer you a free introduction call. The main aim of this free introduction call is to find out if you are compatible with the teacher and if you like them. Because if you don't get on, you're not going to learn as well. And second of all, what you're aiming to do is find out what resources they use. I always recommend teachers who use a series of textbooks for that specific language. If you don't know the textbooks available for the language you want to learn, feel free to contact me or write down in the comments the language you want to learn, and I will tell you which textbooks I recommend for that language. If you're finding this video useful so far, I would really appreciate it if you gave it a like and write a comment. Also, if you want more videos like this, remember to subscribe so you get a notification when I release new videos. Now you've started your class with your teacher and you're working through the textbook, so what else can you do to improve your language skills? Now, as I said at the beginning of the video, I strongly recommend you keep watching children's shows, but what should you do when your level starts to increase? Well, you should move on to watching TV series and movies. Where do you find them? Well, my favorite resource is Netflix. Why? Because you can easily change the language and add subtitles in the language you want to learn. What kinds of TV series and movies should you be watching? Well, preferably ones that you like and enjoy. Even better if you've watched them already in your language. This is good because you'll be able to follow the story more easily. On streaming services like Netflix, you can easily flip between watching it in your target language and reading the subtitles in your language, and watching it in your language and reading the subtitles in the language you're learning. Don't forget that when you're watching and reading the subtitles in your new language, to find any words that you don't understand and write them down in that notebook I told you about, and then translate them with your pocket dictionary after you've finished watching. So those are the basic steps you should take when learning a language. You need to be consuming media, you need to be learning new words, writing them down in a notebook, having classes with a teacher, and using a textbook. Finally, one of the most overlooked parts of learning a language is the mindset you need to have when learning it. Be confident. Don't be scared of speaking to people in your new language and making mistakes. After all, making mistakes is a huge part of the process of language learning. If you're not making mistakes, you're not progressing. Use me as an example. I have no fear with speaking different languages on the internet to an audience of millions of people. So please don't be scared when you are speaking just to that one person. And believe me, the vast majority of people who you speak to in your new language are not judging you as much as you think they are. In fact, most people are simply overjoyed in seeing a foreigner trying to speak their language. Remember, the main reason we're learning languages is to actually use it. So go out and speak it with confidence. All that's left for me to say now is good luck with learning your new language. I believe in you. And if you have any questions, feel free to write them down in the comments. I will do my absolute best to respond to them all. Again, if this video was useful for you, I'd really appreciate you giving it a like. And if you want to see more videos like this, or me doing interviews in other languages, click the subscribe button to be notified when I release more videos. Thank you.